My name is Dr. Michael Brown, and this is 3 Words, a bite-sized podcast about the simple and yet very strategic choices that all of us can make in order to become the very best version of ourselves. And today, these conversations were, for me personally, strategic. I'm here with Amy Seiffert in the studio, and you're going to enjoy this episode so much because she paints a picture of what it looks like to write a book. Those are our 3 words, write a book. And there's those of you out there who have thought, I could never write a book. Absolutely you can, because she shares with us in this episode that we all are experts in our own experiences and we have a story to share. I'm in the process of writing a book and I honestly have felt stuck. Amy Seiffert coaches me today. She walks me through the process. I made some really bold and brave decisions as a result of these 3 words and this discussion. Listen in. Amy Seiffert, it is so great to have you back here in the studio. I'm just going to dive right in because we're sitting here laughing. The cameras are rolling, the microphone is on, and we're talking about, does our hair look okay?
Yeah, it's real.
So your hair, there's no poofs, there's no anything weird sticking out.
Thing.
Nope. And for me, I am in my 50s and I have a lot of spiky action going on, and a good hair product takes 20 years right off your life. Anyway.
And the haircut day is coming.
So if you're listening to our podcast and you're not actually on YouTube, you want to probably switch over at some point and watch our YouTube channel.
Yes.
All that to say, what are our 3 words for the day, Amy?
Write a book.
So this is going to be interesting for me because I am in the process, my friend, as you know, of writing a book. And so the producer actually set me up. And he set me up in that he's like, we decided, Amy and you are having this conversation because you are not moving fast enough, being disciplined enough, being proactive enough to actually write your book in a decent amount of time. So I am your student today, Amy Seiffert.
Okay.
I am your student. Obviously, you have written a couple books now.
Yep. Yeah.
The first book you wrote, let me see if I get this, Grace Looks Amazing on You.
So it was the second.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, I know. I self-published first one, second one traditional published.
Okay.
This third one is also traditionally published.
First book is titled?
Chin Up.
Chin Up, that's right.
Yeah.
You self-published that.
Yes.
Your second book, Grace Looks Amazing on You.
Yes.
And that
was picked up like a publisher. That's a fun story, but yes.
Okay, I want to hear that story, but what's the third book that you're now?
And then this next one comes out. It's a book and a 6-week companion Bible study that comes with it called Starved. Comes out in March, forever away.
Okay. But still, I love the fact that obviously we talk about the 12 dimensions of life, and one of those dimensions is a spiritual dimension. You and I have connected over that. We talk a lot about the spiritual dimension of life. So for our listeners, wherever you make sense of that, however you make sense of that, please listen in to a conversation about some really cool things around writing a book, but also probably some infused spirituality.
Yeah.
Because that's part of your journey and so forth. So I'm writing a book.
Tell me.
It's going slowly.
Okay.
It's going really, really slowly.
Yeah.
So
why is that?
Well, here's why.
Okay.
So there are already always things that come up on my schedule, and I'm super disciplined. Episode 71.
You are.
3 Words Podcast, design every day. So I know how to do that, but then putting an hour in my schedule every day, which is the intention, an hour, 5 days a week, just to write.
Okay.
And I need to do that early in the day, but things keep creeping into my schedule. Now I own it because obviously nothing creeps into your schedule that you don't allow to creep into your schedule.
Right. Yes.
But I am a life coach and I am a counselor and I have, I'm in the people business. And so sometimes people's lives are challenging and they need quick assistance or quick advice or just a connecting point. And so sure, I could say, I'll talk to you in a couple hours, or I can say, well, let's talk now. And there's been a lot of that. Let's go ahead and talk.
And that's the last thing to go.
It is the last thing to go.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are things that I can move around and I'm really good about that and prioritizing, scheduling my priorities as opposed to prioritizing my schedule. But writing a book has been hard.
All right, I got 2 questions.
Okay.
One, why an hour a day?
Because for me, I need to be in kind of this mental space where I can write, because I've heard people say, take 15 minutes, take 30 minutes. I feel like I need an hour a day.
Okay.
And I can do a lot in an hour.
Okay.
If it's in its focus hour, particularly in the morning.
Have you considered a word count a day? Like
I have never considered as such.
Yes.
Okay.
So that kind of changed my life.
Okay.
And I backed it up. So my last project I decided on 500 words a day, 5 days a week. I had 6 months to write this book. And that was with a traditional publisher. I had a deadline. And so I was like, well, it's in my schedule, blocked out like an appointment.
Yep. That's what I do.
Can't move it.
Yep.
Or if I do, I got to switch something else out. But the word count, sometimes I got 500 words in 12 minutes. Oh. Because it just was flowing. And it could be, those were, I mean, that's your crappy first draft.
Right.
You just write. Edit is later. But an hour, that to me, I'm like, ooh, that might be too much.
Okay. So
it
500 words a day. Consider a word
count.
Yeah, a word count versus time. Because that would be frustrating if I'm setting aside an hour and I'm 40 words in. You're like...
Yes,
right, so,
but what I'm saying is you might be surprised.
But I'm saying it'd be really cool if it's like 18 minutes in. It's like, I did 500 words. Amy Seiffert said, go count some people.
Yeah.
Go count some people. I'm going to hit the pause button right here in the middle of my conversation with Amy Seiffert as we're talking about writing a book. If you have a friend or a family member who's thinking, should I write a book, or I'm trying to write a book and I'm stuck, you might want to share this with them. Now back to the episode. So you had another question for me.
Yes. Do you have a why behind this book? Like, why
oh my goodness.
Why are you writing it?
Yeah. This might be the most important thing I ever do. It feels that big to me. And so I'm not going to tip off the audience as to the topic of the book or even the content or the title of the book, though all have been selected. But it really does tie into my deepest core values, the idea of living my legacy, what will I leave behind? And actually, I think I'm going to tackle some issues that in a very creative way that not a lot of people think about at the conscious level, but are always wrestling with at the subconscious level. So my why is I think it can have a gigantic, huge impact.
Okay. So that's a great why. I'm glad you have that. You feel like it's going to have like a ripple effect. It's going to okay. So then if that's a big why.
It is a huge why. But what happens
is
because I'm in the people business, every conversation I'm having in each crisis I'm stepping into or challenging mental health situation I'm involved in, those feel like really high impact as well. So that's where I'm not exchanging writing, high impact writing for something that's silly. I have lots of really high impact things that have been really challenging.
Yes. What if you thought about this, that moment where, you have your writing, your writing time block scheduled. This is blocked, guarded.
Yes.
But that person calls. If you were to consider something like, if I had a book at this point, I could say, hey, I can't meet with you right now, but go read chapter 13. And then I will catch you in a couple days. Like it is an extension of the very important things that you're doing.
Yeah. And there will be chapters in there that we'll be able to apply to a variety of situations that come up.
Yeah.
Because obviously the book is coming out of my life experiences and years of coaching and years
Stories
of mentoring.
And yes.
Absolutely.
So to connect those most important things is a motivator.
I love it. So I'm guessing there's some listeners, there's some viewers on our YouTube channel who are thinking, I've been thinking about writing a book. Can you share with the audience? Obviously, you and I are having kind of our inside conversation.
Yeah.
But let's just pull the lens back a little bit and talk about why write a book? Oh. Why did you choose to write a book? And why should maybe our listeners who are maybe entertaining the idea of book writing to pull the trigger?
I know, right? I think it comes down to your why and your motivation. So when I started writing my first book, I was like, I am compelled to encourage the moms with littles who are in the weeds and need a lifeline. Like if I could have a 3-hour cup of coffee, this is what I would want to say. And I'm going to give it to them in a book. So my why was really strong because I felt like I had collected so many lifelines and I wanted to pass those on. So there could be a variety of people. People have awesome ideas, stories to share, all the things. But like I've seen 3 major hurdles as to like, you've got that idea, but then actually getting there. I mean, there's so many things that could come the way.
Share. 3 hurdles.
Yeah. 3 hurdles.
Am I experiencing them?
You might be.
Okay.
Maybe. Perfectionism. Like when you're literally sitting down in front of the computer and you like write a sentence and you're like,
Guilty. I'm raising my hand.
And then you mess around with that sentence for
That's
like
right,
an
I'm
hour.
messing it.
So perfectionism is going to steal like you getting the thing done. And I was talking to my husband who's creative, and he had this analogy. It was so good. We were talking about if a baker bakes a cake and it comes out of the oven and she's frosting it and she's noticing like, it's a little bit lopsided. Like it's a little off and the frosting is not as like cute as I wanted it to be. I think it's going to be delicious, but I'm not sure. And she's got a dinner party, like waiting out there and she's got this cake and she has this moment where like, should I trash it or should I serve it? Like, it's not perfect. But we're not going for perfect. We're going for delicious. We're going for great. Like great doesn't mean perfect. Delicious doesn't mean perfect. Interesting doesn't mean, helpful doesn't mean perfect. None of these things mean perfect, but we're enhancing the dinner party.
And my guess is no one who is about to partake of the cake is going to notice a little slope or a little whatever.
And if they do, they're like, it's great.
It's
character.
delicious.
Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? So we can mess around with that sentence.
That's good.
Forever, because perfectionism is like
okay,
killing
this is
us.
so helpful. I've done it.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll write for an entire page. I'm like, before I can keep going, but let me go back and take a peek.
Let
me go take a peek.
Yeah, just keep going. Anne Lamott has a book called Bird by Bird, and she talks about like just get your crappy first draft out there. There will be time to edit.
No perfectionism.
The second thing is I don't have the time. This like, where does this, I was a mom with 3 kids. I started writing when we had some of your foster care, your kids in care.
In your home?
Yeah.
How did you do that? How would you do that?
Well, here's what's kind of awesome. Because there were extras, everybody was playing with each other like in a different way, and I had a little bit more space. So the time thing is huge. And that idea of block scheduling and saying, I'm going to put in this time, and I'd say less. Go with 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, and we have a podcast episode on that. Make the time.
Make the time.
Yeah. Versus find the time.
And there's a lot of hurdles to that. Like maybe you need a babysitter. Like we can talk about that.
Okay.
And then so time, perfectionism. What is the third? Oh, who am I? Imposter syndrome. Who am I to write a book? Like I'm not an expert. And maybe you think you are. So that's like you could be so confident about that. But I remember writing at various points and being like, I don't know, like, what am I doing? My favorite quote about this is Andy Kolber says, everyone is an expert in their experience. No one else has had your life, your experiences, all the lives that you've touched, Mike, like no one else, like that is unique to you. And so write it up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's even what our producers of 3 Words Podcast say. I feel like I'm always kind of dropping these one-liners and these insights, and the producer and the team's like, more stories, more experiences, more connections to real life.
Yes.
Because I do. I mean, I've had such an incredible life, and I love that. I am an expert in my experiences.
You are.
You're an expert in your experiences.
Isn't that empowering?
Very empowering.
Yeah, because that imposter syndrome is like, ooh, or somebody's already said this. Well, no, they have not lived it out the way you have. Tell your story.
Well, that's interesting. So you said someone else already said this, but they may not be connected to that book. So let's talk about that for a minute. So obviously you self-published.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking about self-publishing. I have a huge network around the world. And so, well, maybe it's not as huge as I think, but I feel like it's big.
I love it.
And so, I feel like I have the ability to self-publish and to print, and I have designers and I have all of those things. But then I'm like, wow, what if I miss someone that I'm not going to connect with that's really, or a segment or a population that maybe I'm not networked to.
Right.
And so talk to me about how you've done both. So I'm curious.
And you're thinking that because you think a traditional publisher could get you farther, right?
Well, I'm just assuming a traditional publisher, particularly if it's a big name publisher, if they catch on to something that we're doing, they're like, this is really, really, really good and unique and innovative, even though I'm an expert in my own experiences. I don't care what they think.
Right.
No, but if they grab hold of that, the scope and the opportunity for impact could be larger. I'm also curious about even just strictly monetarily. Are they going to take we own 80% of your profits for the next forever?
I know. Yeah, there are such pluses and minuses. So I've been on both sides, obviously. What I loved about self-publishing is I chose everything. I chose the title. I chose the subtitle. I chose my deadline. I chose all of it. I chose the design, cover. If you go with traditional publisher, we're gonna talk about what's marketable, what's helpful. Here's your deadline. However, with a traditional publisher, I get a publicist who says, okay, we're going to need you to write 10 different articles, and we're going to send them out to these 10 places, or you're going to guest blog on Ann Voss Camp, whatever the things are. And that's amazing. I do not have access to these.
And you love that part.
Channels.
You love it. You enjoy it.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. The publishing, the publicist and marketing area. So the thing to remember about the publishing industry is they're looking for two out of three things. They're looking for content, style, and your platform. And they'll take 2 out of 3. So I didn't have a big platform when I signed with Tyndale. And they were like, it doesn't matter. We like your style of writing and we love your content. We will help you with your platform. Or if someone has a big platform, good content for their style, they're like, we'll help you with your style.
And content? Will they help with content?
It seems so.
Oh, interesting.
Well, 'cause
great style, huge platform. We'll tell you what to write.
That's real though. Like, so here's what's fun about my self-publishing story is that I self-published and then I took it to a writer's conference and I bravely sat down with you get 15 minutes with a publishing house. And
so you took Chin Up.
I took Chin Up with me, which is like your best business card ever.
Yeah.
Like, hi, I do the thing. I can get it done. And left it with I had 3 different meetings. And by the last meeting, I was like, I don't care, whatever. Here's what, I just felt so free about it. And that was the moment, that was connection. She was I think she got the most me, because I was like, there's nothing to lose here. So she's like, I'm going to read this. And I thought, well, are you?
Yeah.
But she did. And then she emailed and she said, you have a line in the last chapter of Chin Up that we love. You said, now does motherhood always look amazing on me? No. But does grace? Yes. I've never met anybody that can't wear grace. And she's like, could you give us a 100-day devotional on grace looks amazing on you? We love this idea. And I was like, oh, I love it. They're like, well, you said it. Like, just this like.
See, the last line.
And so she absolutely read it. She read to the.
But still, I'm thinking about, hey, I'm working right now on the introduction and it's taking forever. I should just write the last chapter and give it to someone.
Just right. Yes. So it's fun. I think there's plus and minuses to both ways.
Yeah. Okay. And you did both. So I'm curious though, did Chin Up, is grace look amazing on you with publisher gone farther?
Oh, for sure.
Far more than Chin Up?
I think because of the marketing and publicity piece and what they have access to, because they want your book to succeed as well.
Yeah.
It helps you, it helps them.
For sure.
So
my guess is you can also print Chin Up and continue to take that with you on your various speaking tours.
And I totally do.
Okay.
Yep. It's all.
So this is what I think I'm going to do.
Tell me.
I think you're helping me make a really important decision.
Right now?
Yeah. I think I'm going to self-publish this book.
I love it.
And then I will use that book in my platform, in the spaces and places and say, hey, I have a lot more to say. Because I do. And I'm always writing. I've written so much content, so much curriculum that's not necessarily in a publishable book form, but is more in manuals, curriculum, and so forth. There's a lot of books that I want to write. In fact, several titles are already in my notes, and here's some things I'd like to do. And I started outlining some different things.
Yeah.
To my team's dismay, because they're like, work on the first one. Don't write the 7th and 8th and 9th.
Don't give me more outlines.
No more outline. That's right. But I think that's the route I like to go.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love it.
Okay. But what if this is the most important book? It's not going to lose power because I can always publish or pick it up later.
Sure. Yeah. They can pick it up later.
Okay.
They can republish. They can take it and do that.
Okay.
But you're right. You'll always have it. And so it can be a part of where you go and how you speak and you can always market it. But I love that, Michael, because now from here, like when we're done, you can make a deadline.
I can.
Because it's you.
Well, I will actually take your advice as well. I like the word count.
Yeah.
And you think an hour is long because I do. I like an hour. And I've written sometimes curriculum and various things. I'll sit and write a talk or 3 hours, 4 hours,
it's
and I'm in the zone.
It's up to you. Like sometimes people don't like to write every day, and they're like, I write Mondays from 9 to 1. Like it's totally how you.
Well, it has to be mornings. So again, wake up earlier, 3 Words Podcast episode. It has to be mornings because that's when my mind's the freshest.
There you go.
There's less distractions. I can step into the office. I'm by myself. I have a personal assistant who actually put these blocks on my calendar and protects the door.
Yes.
Nothing's going to get in. Now I can obviously sabotage my own progress.
Right.
But it's no one else's fault but mine. So I own it. I take ownership.
Yeah. Just keep writing. The word count matters because you said that you put the hour there. You're like, well, my hour's up and here's my 10 words. Yay for me.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not done until I have 500 words. I don't even care what they're like. It could be a hot mess. I can edit later.
Amy Seiffert, I thought I was your mentor. Because I'm like, 50 years older than you? But I appreciate you treating me, obviously, with care, but also this is a delicate topic for me because I'm really motivated by it. Mm-hmm. I want to spend a lot of time in the fourth season of my life, the season of inspiration, writing and giving back to the next generation. Yeah. But this is one that I want to write now. Yeah. And I'm encouraged to do it. I think it's important. I think it's going to make an impact. And thank you for the impact you've made. Obviously, your books, obviously Chin Up, Grace Looks Amazing on You, as well as this new one, Starved, which, again, I forget the subtitle, but it sounded really amazing.
I kind of forget it too.
Oh, dear. But it's like basically...
It's like why we need a spiritual diet change to move us out of anxiety to peace, essentially. Well,
and again, anxiety, all the things that when I read that subtitle, like, man... A lot of people need this. So thank you for what contributions you're making. And I just want to, please follow Amy Seiffert. Google her, author, speaker. And I think you even have you're a coach, a book writing coach. So if somebody would like to...
If they feel stuck in their writing journey.
Need your services, look you up.
Yep.
And obviously you can find us all connected on social media and so forth.
Totally.
It's been a blast.
Thank you.
For life coaching, consulting services, or to hire a keynote speaker, please visit dmbcoaching.com.